Well, hello everybody. Today we'll be going over Scifigure Industries Lumitent J20. It was listed, including at Show Z where I bought it, as a TFC. So I don't know if Scifigure Industries is just a, like a sub brand of TFC, or I don't know. Kind of mysterious. It's an interesting figure because it's just a completely original concept. Came with like a comic book built into the box. Kind of a Macross sort of story, So this is intended to be some sort of mech that a pilot pilots in the style of Macross or Gundam. It's got kind of a Macross or Gundam look to it. I really like it. It's a cool figure. I mean, if I had my druthers, it wouldn't be a CCP jet, but all that aside, it's kind of a cool looking jet. The base is kind of interesting. It's got a built-in sort of transformation to it, so the whole thing can be, you can pack away these pedals, and then it's now it's Starfleet. It's Star Trek, but the base transforms. That's kind of neat. Of course, it's a communist star. Why wouldn't it be? It comes with a decent gun, long-barreled gun in the style of those sorts of things. Pretty good detail. Not too bad. My focus is a little off. Pretty cool gun. Comes with the display stand is really great. It was so good, in fact, that you might have noticed I used it to shoot the whole video. But I think for this, I'll take it off of him. There's a little blue paint rubbing off there, so the powder blue can rub off. It's a cool figure. It went against my usual preference that you can transform the legs and then do everything else. You really do have to do the legs kind of halfway through the whole thing. So we'll start by getting this untabbed and raised up out of the way. These pedals can be spread out, and the whole thing kind of clicks and tabs together. Straighten these items. Bring out these components here. And that's pretty much the wings of the jet. Just keep them out of the way. Mostly I flip this around at that point because the stand makes this kind of stick up a little bit. But of course you can do this whenever you want to. This is die cast, as you can see. The legs, we turn them around at the thighs 180 degrees. There is a flap that kind of closes down here. It can be raised back up fairly easily they give you plenty of little fingernail holds to pull the flap back up. But that does need to get put away, so we'll put it away. And then it's good to bend the leg, and then you take this and you kind of park it here. That's mostly so you can get this panel far enough open to leave clearance for the foot. Since we're here, we'll go ahead and take this little flap and put it away. It also has like a little burr on it that lets you flip it out easily. So that's nice. We close down the toe. The heel just kind of stays where it goes. And straighten that out there. And then we're going to flip the whole thing over. We have to get the wing. We have to get the winglet out of the leg cavity. And then we can flip this over. We just barely avoid all that stuff, and it ends up parked in this position. And then I like to just kind of keep this out of the way for the time being. Maybe straighten the engine out. Straighten all this stuff out. But it kind of goes like that. And then you can close this panel back down. You can raise this up so that it goes into this position. And then you can click it in here. It just kind of straightens out and clicks there. We're going to do the same set of operations to this leg. So just bear with me for a minute. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Then you need to make sure that you get these panels out of the way. They kind of create the top of the legs. We're not really putting them away anywhere. We're just getting them out of the way. The legs, we're going to straighten them out. The legs are on strong ratchets at the hip, but there is a folding armature there, right there in the middle. So you can see it kind of folds up or flattens. And of course you can rock the whole thing instead of folding it. But the idea here is that you're gonna kind of straighten the legs and then use that as an opportunity to kind of fold this armature in, and you just keep doing it until the legs have kind of raised up a little bit and of course tab together, you know. But the legs go like this. There we go. This got flipped around. One of these is flipped around wrong. Let's see. It's drum roll. It's this one. There we go. And then these things can tab on. There's a really strong tab here. This one exists, and this one managed to get ripped off. It doesn't seem to affect anything, but I'll just warn you, you don't want to spread the legs until you've untabbed these. Because the groove on this is pretty solid, and it'll twist the tab, and then the tab will come off in the groove, and then you'll get a pair of, you know, like a tool and scrape it out of the groove, and then you'll cry a little bit about having broken it. But then, you know, this whole joint is so tight, there's not really any particular reason these have to tab on. They stay in position anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But just be sure to untab these. Sometimes they can be really tight. I'll show you on the one that's actually broken, but you just kind of want to untab the back of it, and then you can get the tab popped loose. And then you can, you know, then it's out of the way. Then you can spread the legs. Just make sure you untab that before you spread the legs. We're going to go ahead and turn the torso around at the waist. We can flip this thing down. You know the legs are in the right position outside of these things if this flips down and kind of parks solidly, you know, straight down, because you don't want the legs to be kind of angled in the wrong direction. You just want them straight down. Now we'll turn our attention to the top again. There's doodads here. Just trying to spread these out to get a little clearance. But there's little panels that kind of fill in his shoulders. And those are part of the wing assembly, so you just need to get those out of the way. And then lifting the arms up. These tabs are kind of a tight fit around the undersides of the arms. So you'll notice that in the video, for example, I show the arms kind of moving a little bit to clear these tabs. But these tabs just kind of help lock the whole thing together. And it, you know, gives you some place to put these tabs that are also part of the jet. So we flip those out, and then we can slide this whole thing up a little bit, just a little bit. And then once it starts coming up, we can fold it down. And then we want to square away all this top stuff here. Tighten these joints up. They kind of separate, so we're tightening them up. These end up like this, just to stitch it together later in jet mode. And then this slides down here. And in a little bit we'll stitch that together. But for now we turn our attention to the arms, I guess. Or maybe the chest. We'll do the chest first. So we flip this up, turn the head around 180 degrees, and then this whole thing comes up like this, and then you can flip this around. The head ends up facing forwards again, but upside down. And then this, you kind of have to keep moving things out of the way. So, you know, this is kind of parked out of the way now. Go ahead and flip out the nose cone and put away these ornamental pieces here. Trim pieces. Now we're going to start working on the arms. Flip that up. It's going to end up flat. And then you flip this over. So up and over, both of those. The arm, we rotate this around. The hand ends up going downward like that. And then this, the back panel opens up. And we flip this around. The inside of the arm kind of ends up out as a tab. And it helps to have this tab like this, which means it helps to not have this panel closed yet. So it helps to leave that open. I like to fold this at the hinge, like the elbow joint that's part of the forearm. And we just want to make sure we clear that shoulder tab. And we can just start kind of dropping it down a little bit here. But this comes around like this. And then this tabs here. There's like a little hole for it to do that. And then you can close this down. So we're doing the same thing with the other side. Unfortunately, it's perfectly symmetrical, so you gotta do both sides. Nothing interesting for the other side, just doing it. Oh, I got the hand still open. There we go. Open. There we go. Lift it up. Then we bring this up. Fold at the distant joint first, and then the closer joint. Make sure we're getting under this shoulder pad. It goes in like this. This tabs like that. The top of the hand closes. And then we're going to start putting this down. The trick here is these panels kind of hang down. It's a U-shaped panel. So there's these that hang down, and those actually go over the armatures for the wings. So you have to make sure that you get these front winglets nearly straight in position before you try to lower the cockpit area back. And your point of reference is this little V here. It should line up. Of course, it won't lay flat yet because the wings don't lay flat yet. We're getting there. And so then we tighten these, and we're spreading them in the opposite direction. So we're spreading them on the bottom instead of being like this. They're going to be like this. This comes up through the middle and tabs in. I found one of the easiest places to kind of pop it loose, because it is a pretty tight fit, is, you know, you get something that won't scratch anything, and you just kind of, you know, pry it there before you can get a gap. You know, and then, well, we'll transform it the other way anyway. So these lever in to kind of grab those components and tighten it up. Now we're getting to actually putting the wings together. The reason we can't put the wings together earlier is when we slide this up, it really gets in the way of those other parts. So the other parts need to be put away before we slide it up. The bottom is usually pretty easy to place. You want to make sure that these components here are lining up and that these stay out of the way for the time being. So the bottom gets placed. The top can be a little scary, especially it was the first time. In fact, in the video, I very carefully, I made it so it went the right order for going back to jet, because, you know, you place the bottom, you make sure that all this is tabbing properly, and then you can tab the middle. So in the video, the middle kind of pops up. And then these tab down and actually engage tabs on the forearm panels. So that's put together. And then these, it helps to have them at a slight angle instead of completely flat, just a slight angle. You're trying to get this little tab here, right, get a pointer for you. Trying to get this tab right here to catch on that tab slot there. So it just helps to have them angled a little bit before you put them in. So we're angling a little bit and putting it in. And there's the J20. I guess the People's Liberation Army decided that they wanted a stealth jet with just as many wing surfaces as possible. So not only do we have the tail fins, but there's also winglets underneath, and there's also the canards up front, and this thing is supposedly stealthy. I thought it was a completely made-up jet because it has just such an extreme profile, but it's a real jet. The Chengdu J20. Reportedly, or at least it's intended to be kind of the equivalent of the P-35 Lightning II, but I don't know if it is. It does have landing gear. We can pop open this panel here, grab a hook on the wheel with the fingernail, and open that up. The rear gear is kind of a pain in the ass. You have to pop these panels loose. So let's start working on that. This one, of course, is really tight because it still has the tab. But you get these out of the way, like that. And then you lift these heretofore untouched hinges here. And that reveals the wheels. We can pull the wheels out. We can rotate them around 180 degrees. They do have a bias. They have a direction that they want to be rotated. And then we can straighten them up and peg them back in and then put these panels back where they were. So it's a little tedious to get the landing gear out, but it does have landing gear, and it looks like proper landing gear for a jet, unlike a lot of Transformer toys where they just put the gear anywhere. I think that is about the right placement for the gear for this jet. And that's it. That's going from jet mode or robot mode to jet mode. I'm still trying to comply with people that are like, your live stream's boring. And I guess if I'm not responding to your comment and you're just watching it later, it's boring. Or more boring. Let's not be arrogant. But I do want to see if there's any comments. We got 3 comments. Woo. People say, what's up, man? Hello. All right. Howdy, howdy. How's everybody? Going back to robot mode. Just going to pop these engines loose here. Remember the little twist? Helps get that loose. Those are hanging out the bottom now. We pop these panels free. And then we separate the rear wings and slide them down, creating a gap there. We open this up. I get my prying tool to get this started. And this flips all the way down. And then we extend these the other direction to create a gap there. And we're just trying to lift this out of the gap. But of course it immediately collides with the front of those. So you're just trying to walk it out of that gap just a little bit. Because once it's free of the gap, then the armatures for these things are exposed and you can lower them down and turn them and whatever. But just remember, these panels prevent those armatures from moving, so you have to lift this up a little bit to get the armatures free. Then we can start lifting up the arms. We can open this panel and then lift this up a little bit. Unfold the arm bit. Since we're here, we'll just go ahead and do the hands. Rotate those around, close the panel, rotate the hand, rotate this around, flatten it, flip out the chest piece, or the shoulder piece. And then we're ready to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to lift this up, and we're going to push this over a little bit. We're going to rotate this around, and then we're going to rotate the hand out, rotate the fist, close the panel, rotate the arm around. Rotate this, get this out of the way. Rotate this down. We're getting closer and closer to having the proper chest profile. We flip out these panels here. Helps to kind of lift them up from underneath with a spudger or whatever. But they just kind of flip out. They flip out! Open this up. Fold down the nose cone. This flips around and kind of homes there. There's tabs in the shoulders there. And there are tabs in this component once I get it flipped down. So you see these tabs that are part of those panels that I mentioned. I should have something that actually has a point on it. There's tabs here. And when you rotate this down, it'll square up the shoulders and actually kind of tab into those die-cast shoulders. So that's tabbed in. We just finished pulling the head up and turning it around. These just kind of sit on top of the shoulders, and there's the upper body. We can pull the wings up and fold them a bit. I like to get these little guys started, because these are the things that kind of fill in over the shoulders. We're going to lift this up and slide it down, and once it's all the way down, we can kind of snake these little panels past the armpits. And then these things go over the top and fill in the shoulders, as mentioned. And then this kind of sits like this, and I'm just going to keep that out of the way for now while I work on the legs. So the legs, we want to make sure that we untab these. That's right, boys and girls. We untab these before we spread the legs. We're just parking them out of the way for now. We can go ahead and rotate the upper body around, flip up the cod piece. Now we're separating the legs. They'll kind of click. You can maybe do 2 clicks before you start unfolding that center armature that forms the hips. And then 1 more click to give them a stance. These ended up akimbo here. Then we're popping this tab loose, folding the leg a bit, maybe 3 clicks at the first joint, and then we're taking this and parking it right in that cleft there. It just fits in there, but that gives you more than enough space when you open this for the flip around to occur. You want to straighten the engine completely out. You might have had it like this at the beginning, like in from jet mode, but we do want it extended as far as it'll go. There's a little bit of where is it? There's a little bit of a tab right here that doesn't really tab in, but it's an alignment gap, so that you've got it straight when it actually hits that gap successfully. And then you can kind of fold this in. And this does have to rotate a little bit, but you get the alignment once you start bringing the blue piece back. And I forgot, got to flip out the little ornamental tab there. And then we straighten the toe and flatten the foot. We rotate the leg, fold the wing down, rotate the leg around 180 degrees, and then we can hit the little thumbnail ridges on this to bring that tab up. And then, there's not any particular place to put it, but you can just kind of put it there. Bring that forward a little bit. As we do each leg, we can go ahead and take these butt flaps and kind of create the top of the leg, of the thigh. Doing the same thing over here. It's a little boring, sorry. Just gonna flip this out of the way, flip this open, fold the engine all the way up, bring it around, put the tab in there, line all this up. Don't forget to bring out the little flap, and then bring up that flap, and then we rotate that around, bring it forward. And then it's probably the knees are a little too bent for standing on a surface, but you can stand him. He stands pretty well. He's got good ankle articulation, and it's stiff. Like it'll hold a pose pretty well. Everything about this is pretty stiff, so don't worry about those joints too much. Just putting this away. We flip up these flaps, flip these down. I like to go just past the edge there. Separate these. As you fold them back, they're kind of mounted in different places, so it kind of forces the separation once you start doing that. And then you bring this down and tab it. And now he's back to robot mode. Forgot to mention the mount for robot mode and jet mode are the same. Same, stick it in his butt. The same crack is exposed when he's in jet mode. But this thing does rotate around. You untab it, bring it around this way. And this is for the jet to fly, to sit horizontal on the platform. You'll notice in the stop motion video, I actually just kind of separated this, turned it around, and then the jet was sticking straight up at that point. And then once you turn it in robot mode, there was nothing else to do. It was already correctly oriented for that. So it's a fine figure. May not be in everyone's budget, but if they do a whole line of these, it would be kind of exciting to see like mechs derived from maybe some US jets. Some of the old familiars. Like an FA-18 Hornet would be nice, Some of the older jets are kind of passé, but if they want to do like a bunch of modern jets, they could do the F-35 Lightning II. They could do the stealth fighter Starscream, but transforming into a mech instead of Starscream. All right, so we do have a question. Will I be getting that new Bumblebee movie Blitzwing? I decided that the Zeta offering was a little more expensive than I wanted to go with, and there didn't seem to be too much of an aesthetic difference between Zeta and that other thing. I forget what the other thing is called. It is called Mechanical Alliance. But ShowZ was showing that incoming, which means it's, they got their shipping notice from the factory. So I went in and pulled the trigger on that because it was a little cheaper. And I figure it's about the same thing. I just wanted to have something that was representative of that interesting design. So I am getting the new Bumblebee movie Blitzwing, just not Zeta. I'm getting Mechanical Alliance's version of it. I see that's all the questions. There's not much else to report. On locals.com, plsdrew.locals.com, we have this monster. This is already shot. I don't know what I'm shooting this weekend for locals. I'll think of something. I don't actually have anything in the docket. I'll have to scrounge something up that I haven't shot yet. But on the horizon, just beginning the shipping process is the X-Transbots trailer for Menasor. So I'm excited to take that. It'll probably be a couple of weeks before that gets here. And then that'll be on Locals, and then another week later it will be on YouTube. So look for that eventually. And I really should think of something to shoot. What do you think? Should I shoot Star Saber? I've thought about shooting Star Saber. It's not very complicated, but it's still a piece of Takara history, the masterpiece Star Saber. I could try to shoot a Yamato, but none of the Yamatos are this stiff. The Yamato transformation joints are very floppy, very fans' toys. So it wouldn't be very pleasant to shoot many of those. I'll think of something, I guess. It's already Wednesday. I gotta think of something. I don't know. Maybe I'll do another Transformers Prime first edition figure of some sort. Megatron or something. Oh, something. But that's it. That's all the report I have for you. I appreciate those of you who stopped by or are stopping by later and watching the live stream not live anymore. I appreciate the interest. Things, got to get it just so to slide it in properly. There we go. Curl the hand around it. Now he's got his gun. Oh, cool. So you're gonna get that one too. Neat. We're like Starscream that ain't Blitzwing that's not Blitzwing purchasing buddies. Gonna have a diet Sunkissed. It's delicious. All right, gang. Short live stream. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good evening and a good weekend. Look for the Devil Savior Giant Axe figure this Sunday on YouTube. But if you're greedy and you got $2, you could watch it right now on Locals. Exciting. And then Locals will be something. I don't know. Summary. Have a nice day. Fanta. We're going to have to fight over that. All right, guys. Guys and gals. People.